I'm in India, a country with varied food habits and culture. With the coexistence of so many different ways of life here, it's no surprise that there's such a variation in cuisine. Food here is literally an art form, and the spices just really make it what it is. Today, I'm going to meet Dr. Ashish Chopra, a food historian, and he's going to start me on my quest to unveil forgotten cuisines. So let's go and find him. I live in England and I love travelling, meeting new people and trying new dishes. I think it's really important that these dishes aren't forgotten, and what I'd love to do is travel around the world and meet people that are trying to protect these recipes and see if we can recreate them together. So that's what I'm going to do on my quest.
Alex got in touch with me with this particular show called Quest. I was wondering what is the quest all about. And then she told me that this is all about lost recipes. It is all about the great gastronomical tradition this country has. And that is why she decided to talk to me about this. So I said, well, that's a fantastic idea, because there are hundreds of lost recipes which have not been documented. Some of them have not been documented at all, but they are still existing in families. And if we are able to showcase these, we will not only be able to protect the culinary tradition of this country, but also share the rich tradition that we have.
So where are we now?
We are at the spice market. You see the amount of people here?
It's very busy.
It does a annual sale turnover over $200 million.
This is imports and exports.
Import and exports, but also primarily for the Indian market, because most of Indian food is full of spices, right? So all the spices the rates here are in wholesale, then they go to the retail. And once they go to the retail, then it actually ends up going to the consumer. So, you know, you will find spices of all sorts that are available here.
Can we get all of the spices for the cooking?
Yes, everything and anything. Any spice, right from your dry fruits, to your cloves, to your cinnamon, you name it, it's available here. You see the spices here? They've all been sort of lined up. Hi, how are you?
I'm fine.
This is Mr. Kumar, my friend. He runs one of the oldest dry fruits and spices shop, an expert in spices himself.
Oh, wow.
His family has been here in this business for almost 100 years, 96 years to be precise, and they import as well as export the best spices that are available in the spice market in Delhi.
Okay.
So today, whatever we are buying is from his shop, when I'll be showing you, he'll be in fact showing us what we're going to be picking up and what all we would be using for our cooking.
Okay.
So it's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you.
You so much for dropping in. Please, have a look.
Alex, these are some of the spices which are available in his shop. Now, let me explain a few things to you. This is a flour which is called mace. The main content is that it gathers a lot of heat. This is for the lamb curry that I'm going to be cooking for you tomorrow.
In fact, this is also used a lot in rice preparations in India.
Yes.
Usually available in spray form to get rid of unwanted people. This is an excellent herb which is used a lot in our cuisine, especially in our garam masala that we cannot live without.
Could you grind it down?
Yes, you grind it down and it gives you excellent flavor and a very pleasant aroma. However, you need to use it in very small quantities, otherwise it can get very strong.
Yes, anything in limit. Indian spices, always within limits.
There's one more thing I like to point out though. These are seeds of cucumber,
Wow.
pumpkin and watermelon. You'd be surprised to know what we call them in Hindi. We call them brain in Hindi because they're supposed to be good for one's brain, I guess.
That's right.
At the same time, they're very rich in calcium, so we use a lot of it in our curries, stew and sauces.
And in desserts too.
I never even thought of getting cucumber cubes.
People will throw away without knowing the extent benefits that accrue to mankind from consuming this. In fact, if we talk about spice in India, we also grow some excellent cardamoms, and this is green cardamom, which we grow the best in the world. The other place where it's grown is Guatemala in Plenty, in down south of America. But Indian is way better when it comes to flavor.
It smells lovely.
I'm sure you know cloves, you've seen them before.
Yeah.
This particular one is cinnamon. If you try tasting the cinnamon, you find it very sweet.
It has a sweet aftertaste.
And the best about cinnamon is that if you consume this on a regular basis also,
Very good for diabetes.
very much, sir.
Extremely good for diabetes.
I can eat it just like this.
You could eat it like this and you find the taste an excellent one. And if you consume this on a regular basis, not only is it good for diabetes, as he rightly pointed out, it's also very good for one's cholesterol level too.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I think I could probably eat a whole stick of that.
Well, I guess so. Turmeric are the most healthiest herb on the earth.
It's got
The reason I say
tremendous medicinal value. It's also supposed to be a natural antibiotic.
It is.
And it's also a great healer. So
I've only ever seen it in ground form. I've never seen it like this.
It's root, which is
Yeah.
very strong herb, and something which we'd be using in almost all our cuisines because of the color, the wonderful color it imparts to the cuisine, to
Yes.
food.
So you're the guinea pig today.
Great.
I'm catching
by
hold
me.
of all the old recipes that I can, and I shall try to feed you till you get fed up.
So this morning we went to India Gate, which is a war memorial built by the British for the Indian soldiers in the First World War. It was so lovely and peaceful and just an absolute world away from Old Delhi. I got to meet Dr. Chopra, and he told me all about Indian cuisine. I know he could talk for hours because he's just got so much knowledge. Old Delhi was probably the busiest place that I've ever been to. It made Vietnam look tame. We went to Asia's biggest spice market. There were so many different herbs and spices there. All the ones I knew, just loads I hadn't even heard of. Dr. Chopra said that there are 14 herbs and spices going into the curry we're cooking today. He also said that there's a mushroom, which is a version of an Indian truffle, which is worth £500 a kilo, and we're going to be cooking that today in a pilau. It really must be a dish that's for a special occasion, and I can't wait to cook with him. Okay, we're ready to go. We're going to cook a traditional mutton curry.
That's right.
And a delicious morel mushroom pilau.
I'll tell you what I'm doing now. You've seen the array of spices, right?
They look fantastic.
And this array of spices is going to come in just 2 dishes, right? I'm putting in about 14 to 15 different kinds of spices in my lamb curry.
Yeah.
This is a 300-year-old recipe.
Okay.
I mean, supposedly, because this recipe was taught to me by my friend's mum. And she learned from her grandmother. And it's a very old Delhi family, very traditional family. Apparently, it's just confined to their family. And it's not gone out anywhere. Fortunately, since I've learned it, I think that this is such a fantastic lamb curry that it should be shared with the rest of the world so that everybody else can savor in the flavor as well.
You think it's not a very well-known recipe?
Not at all. It's not even documented as such. That's why this is like an unknown recipe, which I'm sharing now.
Great.
The other thing that I'm making is like you have the truffle abroad.
Yep, we do.
We also have the Indian truffle, which is absolutely phenomenal, which grows above the height of about 11,000 feet. Yes, that's right. That's the truffle. Now, what I'm putting in the rice is an Indian version of truffle. Now, there are 2 kinds of truffle. People may dispute me, but me, I feel that there are 2 kinds of truffle. One is which grows above the ground, and there's another one which grows below the ground. The one you get in UK and everywhere else, which is extremely expensive, and it's also a delicacy, is the truffle which grows below the ground. This one is like the great Himalayan truffle. It grows above the height of 10.5 to 11,000 feet.
So it's quite difficult to get unless you
Yes,
don't fit.
and when it rains in the mountains, And when the lightning strikes and there's a forest fire, then when the trees catch fire, it's only after that that this particular mushroom grows up.
So the fire encourages the
fire encourages the growth of this particular kind of true fruit. That's why it's so rare to get. We'll be soaking this in water and keeping it for a couple of hours.
What's the benefit of soaking it?
Because it softens up like a mushroom, right? And one more thing that I'm going to show you here is this is the oyster mushroom, which comes in from Afghanistan, right? Now this mushroom was sort of exported and taken out because this has many medicinal properties.
It has quite a strong smell as well.
It has a very nice smoky aroma. So this has tremendous medicinal properties. But presently, and also during the king's time and the ruler's time, always a rice to welcome a head of state or an international guest, they would actually make this trufle or gucci, as we call it in India, and this mushroom flour put together, and it had some dry fruits and stuff like that. So you're the guinea pig today.
Great.
I'm catching hold of all the old recipes that I can, and I shall try to feed you till you get fed up.
Okay.
I'm now going to start with the lamb curry.
Great.
Right?
What do we do first?
First, I'm going to, of course, light the fire. Only then there will be desire.
True.
Right? I then use, this is purified butter, which is called ghee.
We're using that instead of an oil.
And I'm going to be rather generous with it, right? So that once this is being cooked, and once this heats up, I'm going to add onions.
We're putting all those onions in?
Yeah.
So they're going to caramelize?
No, they won't. They'll just turn brown, like fried onion should. I would be putting in chilies.
What kind of chilies are these?
These are dried roasted chilies. These are dried roasted chilies.
They smell really nice.
Now that the onions have been browned, what I'm going to do is I'll add some turmeric.
Is the turmeric not already in the mix of spices?
No, it's not in the mix. The turmeric goes in here, and the salt.
You see, I thought that was sugar before, and I tried some. And it's
salt goes according to taste. We can add that later. And now that's nicely browned up, if you will see, it's getting nice and brown. My flesh.
It's looking and smelling amazing already.
The smell, come down a bit, and let the flavors and the smoke go in. And let it sort of seep in your nostrils, right? Don't sneeze, bud, all right? About 5 years ago, when Auntie actually was cooking, and I begged and I begged and I begged. And I told her, look, Aunt, you can't do this to me. You need to teach me how to cook this. I decided to pick up this fantastic recipe from a family that I've known for a very long time, from this lady who had learned not only from her mother, but from her grandmother, and it was passed on at least 4 to 5 generations. So I said, that was a fantastic idea. So I said, Alex, look, it's a very rich mutton curry, and there's a rice that I'm making which has something called the Indian form of trufle, which is a mushroom, and it's like it comes from the Morel family, and this is where we make special rice, and this was only made amongst the royalty, and they're rich. And this truffle comes from the height of over 11,000 feet from the Himalayas. So I said, let's go to Old Delhi, because that's the oldest spice market in the country, and not only that, it's the largest spice market in Asia. So for her to get the real flavor of our country, to get the real flavor of all the spices that were there, is how I decided to take her. And today I am actually, what I've given her is a lamb curry, which is traditional. I don't know what name to give, but it's full of dry fruits, it's full of cashew nut, and it takes almost 6 to 7 hours to cook. And I'm making a special rice out of the truffle. And this is a recipe I thought would be fantastic for me to showcase, because if it was not showcased or documented, it would meet its own slow but silent death. I'm so happy that Quest is doing this endeavor to showcase our rich culinary tradition.
So when did you first cook this recipe?
About 5 years ago, when Auntie actually was cooking, and I begged and I begged and I begged, and I told her, look, Aunt, you can't do this to me. You need to teach me how to cook this.
How many people do you think know how to cook it?
I think it's just her and her nephew and probably me, because in their family they're all foodies, but none of them like to cook. They depend on Auntie, you know, and she's the one who cooks all the time. So I actually emotionally blackmailed her, and I said, look, I need to know this. And I've cooked this after that on a couple of occasions for parties, for friends. They've just fallen in love with this dish.
Is it something you cook regularly?
Occasionally, not always, because it's simple. It has a lot of ingredients which are very heavy, right? And for a person like me who needs to lose weight, it's a no-no. But you know, there's always a conflict between this and this.
I'll go for a run afterwards.
Yeah, but you will have to do a couple of miles, in fact, a couple of times, to actually be able to digest this sort of food. It's heavy. You can just do it occasionally, once in a while, but not always.
That's a special treat.
Yes. Alex, actually this dish is always cooked with a lot of love. And Auntie would always cook this dish with lots of love. And since I have a pretty lady all the way from overseas, I must show my typical Indian love. So you're the lucky one, and that's why I'm cooking specially for you. I could have cooked something else for the show, but then I thought, no, I must cook this for you. I hope you like it.
Showing me Indian hospitality.
Absolutely.
It's really wonderful colour.
It is. It's coming up slowly. I put it on simmer right now. So it'll remain like this for about half an hour and to 40 minutes, and all the juices of the meat will actually intermingle with the onions that are there. And then I will add a special paste that I've made, which is made of...
This one?
No, the paste is actually made of cashew nuts, broken cashew nuts, if you see this, broken cashew nuts, and it's got muskmelon seeds.
Can I try some?
Yes, sure. And it's got yogurt. So all of that is already put and mixed in a grinder. And then once that starts cooking slowly, then what I do is, then I add these spices.
And that's a mix of...
That's a mix of cinnamon, that's a mix of cumin, that's a mix of maize, that's a mix of aniseed, it's a mix of coriander, it's a mix of a little bit of chilies that are there, it's a mix of whole ground pepper, and there is also nutmeg. As you can see, there's a little bit of nutmeg, and also a couple of other things. So all these things have been put in a grinder, and I have actually made a masala out of this.
So can you make this ahead and store it in the cupboard?
Yes, yes. But you can use it for at least 6 months to a year.
Right.
If it is kept in an airtight container, it doesn't get bad. So you can, you know, whenever you're cooking dishes or something, this is a masala which you can actually play with. You know, like a painter, you can play with your food, because all chefs like to do that. At least I like to do that. So that's what it is.
How much do you put in of that?
For a kilo, about 3 to 4 teaspoonfuls. Now that this is getting ready, I'm going to put some yogurt gravy in this, yogurt and the dry fruits that I put in.
Oh, okay.
Almond And this
melon
one
seeds?
was muskmelon seeds and cashew nut paste.
I've never actually cooked with melon seeds before.
Well, this is a thick paste, which sort of makes the whole thing look nice and thick. And what I'm going to do is that I'm actually going to mix this, right? And while I'm mixing this, I'll also add a little bit of water to it, because otherwise the gravy is going to be too thick. And since we're going to have it with a little bit of rice, we need to sort of enhance the flavors and just let it cook on slow fire for some time, so that the gravy sort of intermingles.
Why don't we want it too thick?
We don't want it too thick, because with rice, thick gravy, if it is with bread, thick gravy is all right, but it should be just the right amount of thickness so that you can blend it with rice and have it. That's why I'm adding a little water to it.
Is that why we cook it for so long?
Now, the other thing that I'm going to do is just to flavor it, because this is already almost getting ready. My homemade spices, I'll just sprinkle a little on top, just to enhance the flavors. There you go.
Put that back for you?
Yes, thank you, please. Almost ready. Now we're just going to keep this on simmer. It is already a little on simmer, or maybe we'll just put it on high flame for 2 minutes.
So the lamb will be nice and tender now.
It's already getting nice and tender because we've been cooking it for so many hours.
Yeah.
And it's been cooked on slow fire. So it takes a little while.